Joining me today is Jerry Frew, as the Superintendent of Kearsarge Regional School District. So Jerry, we were talking about the budget, and you talked about teacher retirement, and I want to really finish up. So this is an obligation that's required by the state for every public school teacher in New Hampshire.
Yes.
So the districts can't locally negotiate some different plan or retirement system or 401k. It goes into the state retirement system.
That's correct.
And so you said, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but you said the state used to fund at X level, and over the last couple of years or over the last decade, and correct me on that, it went to zero.
That's correct.
So what exactly, what was X and how many years to zero?
I believe over 3 years the state's contribution was reduced to zero.
From
I'm not certain.
Okay. 10%, 40%?
35-ish percent
Okay.
of the contribution. And as I believe I stated before, teachers, educators have no option. We're required to be part of that system.
So the teachers pay in more.
And the communities, the employers pay.
And the employers, which in this case, the employers are
school
the public
districts.
School district, and they pay in more because they have to, and that pay comes from the taxpayers.
Correct.
So really the taxpayers are paying in more.
Yes.
And
the retirees are not getting any increased benefit. In fact, the retirees are getting less benefit because the health subsidy that used to be part of the system for retirees has disappeared.
So, because we focus on politics and policy, I mean, obviously this was a policy decision out of your control, made years and years ago. But it's impacting
absolutely every town, every school district, every municipality.
Has the funding to aid that all the school districts get, has that kept up with this decline, or is aid from the state less?
Aid from the state has maintained its prior levels, shall we say. So
aid has stayed flat, but there's a shift in cost, and I don't know the details of the budget where I could cite them, but your labor costs for faculty got to be the largest driver in your budget.
Yes, fringe benefits, the workers' comp, property liability, all the things that are affiliated with any employer. Yes.
Okay. So one other question. Let's turn again back to the budget. What else? What are the other issues in the budget?
Sure. Our out-of-district special education costs have increased over time. I think we alluded a little bit to that mobility, if you will, and the move-in. And so we've had, about a $300,000 increase in our out-of-district anticipated costs for next year.
Is that a lot?
It is in comparison to prior years, although we've had years it's been well over $1 million, and now it's closer to $800,000. But in the most recent past, we were closer to $500,000. So for us, it's increased. And
can people do it? I mean, do people say, well, just don't do it, or?
No, we are obligated to provide a free and appropriate education for every child under the age of 21.
And I imagine if you're a parent of one of those childs, you want a good education for
Absolutely,
your kid.
and any good educator will want that as well for all children.
But that's a tough part of.
It's a very difficult part because out-of-district placements, the numbers are fewer of places that can accommodate children, and the need on a statewide basis and really on a regional basis has grown. And so you have the whole economic factor of supply and demand that kicks in, and they can raise prices, and children need these services.
And that's largely out of your control.
That's correct.
And that comes from the federal government, really, as much as anything.
And again, another underfunding, if you will, of IDEA and the initial discussion about funding 40%. And
have the federal government ever hit 40%?
No, sir.
Have they ever hit 30%?
No, sir.
Have they ever hit 20%?
No,
I feel like a Dutch auction here. Have they ever hit 10%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I believe we're currently around maybe 16%.
So the federal government says we'll give you 40 cents on the dollar for the cost, and they're giving us 16 cents on the dollar is what you're saying. And that's true for most school districts?
Everybody. Yep.
And
Across
both
America,
states?
it's federal, it's the IDEA form.
Okay. Well, we're out of time in this segment.